Thanks for watching. We'll see you again on Inside OC.
Thanks, brother.
Right. So now we decide that just before you jump
No,
out. You're not quite
I'm not
done because we like to do an open mic too, so we can run. So what didn't we get to?
I'm not talking about grabbing anything on an open mic. All right.
So what didn't we get to?
Well, you can ask about the appointments if you want.
Oh, you know what we really didn't get to, and so this might be fun, was the bumps in the road of the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look, there were headlines from time to time that would have suggested that you were a PAC in disarray. You had the early Tea Party supporter who laughed and didn't sound very happy about it. You had that credit card snafu where some donors' numbers got phone numbers and emails got posted, and then you were begging the election commission, and then you had somebody who worked for you who was convicted for something they did in a campaign a couple years earlier. Roger Stone, who a Trump colleague who had his own PAC, which was accused of a scam, suggested you guys were a scam. I think those were the worst of it. But you get these things all the time. How'd you deal with that?
It was very competitive. I also thought there were a lot of people not educated about PACs. You know, the press, the Democrats mainly, and even a lot of Republicans have vilified PACs for the last, couple cycles. And you look at, Jeb Bush's PAC, and there's a lot of reason to be skeptical when people are making all this money and it raised $120 million, and it was not very well spent. The job of a PAC's how you represent your donors and represent your audience. And for me, all we kept doing was continue good work and promoting that good work. And the credit card deal.
Yeah, so tell me, because that must get people upset. Yeah, they give you money, and then holy cow, here's my email and phone number for all the world to see.
We've spent about 93 to 94% of which is unheard of for a PAC in terms of ratio of spending what you raise. We were very efficient with our money. Our ads were some of the most impactful. And in addition to that, you can't argue with our surrogates. Donald Trump and Eric Trump and Donald Jr. and Ivanka, those were the surrogates for the campaign. For us, we had a number of surrogates that were promoting this message. So we made this election in many ways even bigger than just Donald Trump. You can't leave him there as a lone island. And the other thing that we did that nobody else did is we defended him right away. After all of the comments, we came out. We never attacked like the RNC, but when the RNC didn't spend any money in October on him, I thought that was a critical point, as considering he was raising money for the RNC. We even said to the RNC, hey, let's find a better way to do it. So I think you have to look at our tactics, and every time that I mentioned earlier about Donald Trump, I like to think that, we can overcome a little adversity too, Ed and myself. And so we overcame that adversity, and we just kept plugging away, promoting the good stuff that we were doing, and most importantly, saying who else is doing the kind of stuff that we are doing? No one was.
Yeah, so all those bumps in the road, that just goes with the territory?
He had bumps in the road as a campaign. She did on her campaign. I mean, if you think about him, he had 3 different campaign managers through this election, right? You're going to have bumps in the road. And one of the things from a personal standpoint is I've never done media before. And you mentioned some of the people, their job was supposed to do some of this media. And so it's pretty frightening, especially when I'm always bad talking the media, no offense, behind the scenes, just kidding. But, I had to go in and step up in that role too. So did, many others that worked for us. And we had over 32 people that had worked for us in this PAC. They were out there in different states and different offices. And so, we localized our messaging every single time that we had faced any kind of adversity.
One last thing, the kind of a post-mortem again of the campaign. How big was James Comey, the FBI director's statement just prior to the election, and the WikiLeaks stuff?
I thought the Comey deal was huge. And the reason is his initial findings seemed to be a lot of skepticism. What I thought was even bigger than his announcement was the reaction by both sides. Donald Trump was more professional than, people thought he might be. And Hillary Clinton, kept adding legs to the story. I didn't understand her strategy. I mean, anytime.
You mean by criticizing Comey, it called more attention?
Yeah, because just 2 months earlier, they were praising Comey, right? The Democrats. And so to do that, they were stuck in no man's land, right? They were off message. And I thought Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate, but I also thought the Democrats, and you're looking at this today, they have no next steps, planned out. They don't know what they're going to do. There was a leadership void in the Democratic Party. I mean, maybe Elizabeth Warren, but hers is a little bit more just about rhetoric against Republicans. I have yet to see any vision from them. Yeah. And anytime that they, were punched in the chest, they had no idea.
So you would you would agree with the Clinton campaign then that Comey did have an impact.
Yeah, but I also think their management of it had the bigger impact.
Okay, and how about the WikiLeaks? Was that because that kind of probably angered some of the Bernie people, right? When the Bernie Sanders supporters to see how
it fit the narrative that Donald Trump was vulgar. Donald Trump had over-the-top rhetoric, but you always kind of knew where he stood, right? I mean, because he was out there and said what he felt. You felt the opposite about Hillary Clinton. You had trust issues with Hillary Clinton. How is she doing money through the Clinton Foundation? It continued to feed that narrative of mistrusting her and that, she's a cover-up artist, not just as, Secretary of State, but as, the First Lady, and now as a candidate. So I think that was really the impact of putting people, do we really want to go back to this cover-up artist and feel like, she's representing us when time and time again we're electing these officials who don't turn out as planned.
Yeah, okay. Well, Eric, that's, again, thanks so much.
Thank you.
We wound up doing like 2.5 shows. So
right,
anyway,
whatever.
Thanks much, man.
Thank you so much. I love your show.
All right.
Watch Inside OC with Rick Reiff at these times on PBS SoCal, KOCE.